Hi, everyone. Welcome to our live podcast today about the power of silence. Uh, I'll begin with a story because I want to set the context right. When I'm talking about the power of silence, this is the deep silence. This is not the silence that they talk about in politics. This is not the silence they talk about when people are in abusive relationships. We are not talking about any of those kinds of silence. So let me set the context right by giving three small stories for you to examine. So the first story is about a fight that a granny and a grandpa are having, or anybody is having, any couple is having. The grandpa is going through everything in the house. He's driving grandma nuts. He's opening all the cupboards, he's shutting it loudly, he is moving the chairs, in the way it scrapes the floor. He's doing all kinds of annoying things until grandma is like breaks her silence, the silence that made her angry. So when she's angry, she goes into silence. And so the grandpa's method for breaking that is he does all these weird things and she can't take it anymore. And then she says, hey, stop this. Right. So this is not what I'm talking about. This is not the kind of silence we are talking about. This is a different kind of silence, a silence where anger is suppressed, a silence where communication is not provided properly. That is the kind of silence that was projected in this first example. Let's go to a different level of silence. And this is the second level of silence. And this is the kind of silence we want to get into. And this is a living example of a lady called Ma Deepa. She was the absolute embodiment of what you call as inner peace. Her life itself was very tragic. She was married when she was very young. She lived in Burma. Then she came to Calcutta. She lived there. She was a deep spiritual teacher. She belonged to Buddhism Tevara school. And she had this silence around her. And she was a great Vipassana practitioner. In fact, even the learned practitioners would come to study under her. She was just a housewife. She was doing all the things she was supposed to do in her house. And even when she was doing all these things, she was able to teach so many people. That is the second level of silence, the kind of the silence that you get from uh, being spiritually inclined or being interested in deeper aspects of life. There are times when we want silence, which is like physical. We want to say, "Oh, this is too noisy for me." We are not talking about that kind of silence. It's always good to not have your senses oversaturated with anything. So, from that perspective, we move to the third kind of silence, the kind of silence that we are all seeking. We are seeking a kind of silence that will ground us. So there is a story in the Upanishads which my guru has told me, and it never made an impact until I started my own journey. And the story goes like this: there are two birds sitting on a tree. One bird is sitting right on the top of the tree, and it is just watching, observing, witnessing everything that is happening. There's this other little bird which is jumping up and down, jumping up and down, jumping up and down. Every time it tastes something sweet, it sings, "Oh, life is so beautiful. I love you, life." Every time it tastes something sour, it's like, "Ah, this sucks. I hate life." So it keeps on doing this a couple of times, and then it notices this bird on the top, which is simply sitting and watching. So this little bird is curious. How does this bird, which is so big, uh, just living like this? How is it? How is it managing like this? Then it goes as it goes near to meet that bird, it gets distracted again by the red color of the fruit or the yellow color of the fruits, or it's like, maybe this is tasty, maybe this is tasty. So on the way, it keeps on tasting these and keeps on experiencing those ups and downs. Oh, singing when there is a sweet fruit, complaining or a groaning, moaning when there is a sour fruit or when there is something that is slightly bitter. So as it progresses up and it reaches the little bird, when it reaches the big bird, which is in silence, it realizes two things. It realizes it's not that the bird is not attracted to the fruits. The bird is not, sorry, it's not that the bird is not knowing that the fruits are around. It is just that it is not attracted to it. So it realizes that we are in the same space, but the way I am reacting, the way I am interacting, the way I am responding to each of these is so different from the way the other one is responding. That is the first amazing lesson this little bird learns. The second lesson it learns is that you do not have to celebrate in, in that manner, or you do not have to be disappointed to that extent when something is not working in our favor or is working in our favor. There's nothing wrong in celebrating. It is just that if that is a part of our up and down, we have to understand how we can manage. That is why we move away from that inner silence. So what is this silence? You in this three stories, we studied three different kinds of silence. The silence that is anger, that is suppressed, actually leads to lot of health issues. It leads to your heart problems. People have studied that stress, it causes stress. It's not healthy. The silence that you get from practicing something is great. You, as long as you practice it, as long as you're able to understand it, you will be able to get the benefit of that. But silence of being in that space, the silence of experiencing and being in that flow is the most amazing experience that you can have in your life. And so the silence that I am talking about is the silence of being establishing ourselves in that space. How do we establish ourselves in that space of peace, in that space of silence? So, what is this silence we are talking about? What is this peace we are talking about? It is being connected to ourselves and not allowing our reactionary assumptions to jump in and to cause problems for us. For example, I am saying, hey, uh, would you like to come and have ice cream with me? It's just a friend telling another friend, hey, would you like to come and have ice cream with me? Immediately you might be having a reactionary assumption saying, oh no, I think I'll put on weight. Oh no, I don't like eating cold. All this may be true. It's nothing wrong with any of those things. But because of that reactionary assumption, you decide to do something else. You decide to probably tell your friend, even though you want to spend time with somebody, even though you want to do that, you probably tell your friend, no, not today, I'm kind of busy. Right? How many times we have done this? We could have communicated it in a slightly different way. You could have said, hey, I don't usually eat this, but I'm happy to spend time with you. This kind of silence, the kind of silence that we want, the kind of peace that we want, cannot come with any cunningness. So, what is silence then? I define silence based on my experience. I define silence as a state where I'm able to witness without interaction or reaction. So, what does that mean to me? Is when some incident is happening, whether it is within me or whether it is outside of me, I am able to pause, hold, and watch what is happening inside me. I'll repeat. When there is an incident that is happening, whether it is inside of me or outside of me, I am able to watch. I am able to just be a witness. And that gives you so much power because you're not jumping into it. You are not in the flow of it in a way that damages you. Because reactions are always based on assumptions. You have a reactionary assumption, and that does not allow this space of silence to be within you. Silence is just a space, it is a state, and it is also something that gives you so much peace of mind down the road. Because, oh, thank God I didn't say something, thank God I didn't do this, thank God I didn't react, thank God. All these things that we say down the road comes because we practice this silence. This silence is a stillness, the patience, and the love we have, not only for ourselves, but also for others. Because we want to be compassionate, we want to be giving to them, we want to be nourishing them, we want to give them things that work for them. Sometimes people give you feedback in a very, you think it's very rough the way they give you feedback. But actually, probably they are very irritated, but they want to give you feedback and they give you feedback. It's up to us to take what is good in that and not let our inner peace to be disturbed or destroyed by it. Think about it. So you can define silence through your own personal, whatever you have experienced personally. So there is no limit to what you can experience as your silence. But it should never be, to not ever label your silence because you're in a toxic relationship. I'm putting up with all this silently. That is not silence at all. That is harming yourself. Please get help if you're in that kind of a situation. Let us look at what type of silence we should cultivate and how we should cultivate it. First thing we should do is we should spend a lot of time with ourselves. How long is it? How long has it been since you just sat by yourself and just, it could just be your balcony flower garden, it could just be your backyard, it could just be a flower pot that is, a pot with a plant that is flowering, it could just be any simple thing. How long has it been for you to sit and experience it, to just sit and watch it and experience the glory of that flower, experience, or you're sipping a cup of tea. How long has it been for you? How long has it been when you have actually tasted that spices in the tea, that sweetness of the tea? If you're adding milk, if you're adding spices, how long has it been since you actually tasted it, felt it go down your throat, land in your stomach? How long has it been since you witnessed that? The first requisite for cultivating this silence is to develop deep mindfulness. Everything you do, develop that peace, mindfulness. Do it slowly. There's no hurry. We always hurry. Oh, I have to do 10 million things before I go. Oh, even I'm like that now on a working day, right? It's difficult for all of us to manage. But the golden key to this silence is self awareness, mindfulness, being in that state, willingness to spend time with yourself alone. That is The most important thing. Lot of us cannot even spend 5 minutes by ourselves. I know people who tell me, even now at work, they tell me, oh, do I have to come and open the office alone? You're in a big building. There are 21 other offices there. There are people sitting in all over these offices. You just come and open this door and go to your door. For that, they say, should I come and stay alone in my office? Understand? The first prerequisite for discovering this silence itself is we have to be comfortable being alone by ourselves. Spend time with yourself, not reading a book, not watching something, not cooking, not doing anything, just sitting and being by yourself. And you will say, oh, Ma, this is so easy for you to say. I have a big family, I have too many things happening. How can I do that? You can absolutely do that if you make a decision. Let's say you are waiting for your ride. You can practice mindfulness. You can practice being with yourself at that time. You can practice watching what is happening inside you. You can practice to see, are you reacting? You can practice to see, are you already thinking, planning about the rest of the day? You can already see, are you feeling irritated with the driver because he is 10 minutes late? If you take public transport anywhere in any part of the world, it will teach you mindfulness. It will teach you a lot of patience, because they will always be working at a different level of convenience, at a different level of possibility. They will always be working on a different level of schedule. Practice mindfulness, practice being aware. Only then you will be able to understand the significance and the importance of this being in silence. So once you have practiced being in that silence, being in that awareness, being in that thing, it's a continuous practice. It's a practice every day. It has to be done every minute. It has to be done every time. Over time, when you keep on doing this, your willingness to be alone by yourself does not feel like loneliness anymore. You begin to embrace that aloneness. You say, yes, I like being alone. I like to do what I want to do. I want to spend time with myself. Hey, I am the best champion for me. Who can understand me better than myself? So let me spend some time with me also. As you gradually develop that, you will begin to notice one more thing that is happening in you. You will begin to notice you have thoughts. In some instances, you have more thoughts than others. They kind of rush on you. In some instances, you have very slow, low, few thoughts. And with deeper understanding and deeper practice, you will understand that these thoughts are like independent bubbles. Like if you have seen, if you have a fish tank in your house, you will see how those bubbles keep on raising. They're oxygenating the tank, it just keeps on coming up. These thoughts are all independent things. But what do? We just put them together. My Guruji, he says, we create a shaft. Yo, it's okay if you just create a shaft. We also create one more thing on the top of it. We add emotion to it. So it's just a thought. Your friend invited you for ice cream. It is just a thought. You're going to say yes or no. But what the first reaction is, oh, I should probably not go. And then next thing, last time when I went, this happened. Oh, and then I had this. Then I felt sick. So I should not go this time. The thought, the simple thing is invitation. The actual response is a reaction. You're not responding to the invitation. If you're responding to the invitation, you look at your calendar and you will say, I have so many things to do. If I think I can make it at this time. If you really have space in your calendar, you really want to do it, that would be your response. But if it's a reaction, what would you say? You go into, oh, last time I went with her. this thing happened, this bad thing happened to me. I don't want to go with her again. But you don't want to tell her because you're too polite, you're too nice. So what do? You just say, not today I'm not feeling so well. You never own the truth. You're reacting. Why? Because you already created that shaft. If I go with her, last time this bad thing happened. Then when I came home, I had this sore throat. Then I had all these things. So if I go to eat ice cream with her, this will happen. This will become a shaft. You created a shaft by combining several different independent events together. And then this will become your pattern. Not only with her, with other people also. Then what happens? Your silence gets broken because you're now worried. Now you're caught in that pattern. So, the most important thing we have to do to be in that silence, to be in that power, to examine, to explore, to be empowered by that silence and that peace that we are seeking is first of all to practice to be friendly to ourselves. Spend time with ourselves. Number one. Number two, we cultivate that space of friendliness with every one of our interactions. Because if we do not interact that way, it is going to come back and affect our inner space. So we interact with people, we carry that, we share that, we give it to other people so they can also experience it. That is the second. Third step is going deeper into this practice is to become more aware of our thoughts. And the fourth and the final step in this is to understand how we put thoughts that are not connected with each other. And then we create something out of it. We create a story out of it. We create a narrative out of this. This is not helping you to maintain the power of silence, right? Silence is actually a huge part of our cosmos. Everybody says the space is empty, the space is actually in the Hinduism, space is a space of power. It has so much power in that space. So let us today, from today on, let us become more mindful, more friendly to ourselves first. Let us spend more time with ourselves, even if it is 15 minutes a day. Let's find that time. It could be before you go to bed. It could be as soon as you wake up. Whatever time. Take the time to be with yourself. Cultivate this friendliness. Cultivate this thoughtfulness, mindfulness. Cultivate this silence. So when you are faced with any challenge, your default will not be reaction. Your default, if you default into reactions, it is going to hurt you more and more. Because you're only bringing your past memories, past knowledge, and you're not able to grow with it. So be in the present. Then you can experience how much you have progressed in your self-care, in your self-love, and in the way you are grounding yourself, the way you're grounding yourself in your silence. And that is the power of silence. When you can ground yourself in your silence, when everything around that is happening to you, you are able to witness it and you're able to take a decision because you're able to witness it, not because you're reacting, not because you have a past memory, but you are doing it because this is the best action to take. Just because you're in silence, it doesn't mean you're not going to be active. In fact, it is the other way around. When you're in silence, you clearly see where you must be more active and how you must be more active and how best each action that you take can add 10 times the power to what you're doing. You become wonderful. You become very, very powerful because you can achieve more in less. You become smart. Think about this because silence is absolutely essential for all of us. It is both the physical silence, if you can get it. If you live in a busy place, if you live in countries where there is a lot of population, there is so many activities, you are constantly hear the bus, the car, train, all those honks, moving around, people are moving around, it's noisy. You really want physical silence? That is the first place to begin. As you begin your silence, as you begin your search for your silence, become friendly with yourself. Cultivate self love. You are worthy of it. The universe loves you whether you believe it or not. Once you practice this, you will experience it. Once you experience it, you will be able to establish yourself in that silence. And that is the only true powerful silence. And that is all we should spend our time on. I welcome you all to join our sessions. We offer a lot of free sessions. We also offer paid sessions. We are having a course on Sattvic women's body. Please join us so you can learn all these techniques and you can make this a wonderful experience for yourself and be established in that silence, the peace that you're seeking. Thank you. I will see you next week. Bye bye.